Chair Warner, members of the board, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'm Vivian Satterfield. I'm the Deputy Director at Opal Environmental Justice, Oregon. Thank you for the opportunity to offer comment today. I appreciated hearing the forum on direct Q&A with Mr. Kelsey, the current candidate for the new GM hire, and appreciated hearing some of the responses. I know that the board has received a letter from Opal and a number of undersigned organizations really highlighting the sort of concerns and questions that we have around the process that came up to this point. So again, I do want to appreciate the opportunity also to hear from the consultant group, KL2, about the candidate pool. That's information that would have been illuminating to have before this process. Some of the hiring process that I indicated in a meeting that we had Chair Warner with at the Opal office, we had indicated that this was a time-constrained hire that we understood, especially over the holidays, and we wanted the opportunity to offer input. And so while it's nice to hear what the process has been today, this morning, I think that's a sort of public process and the sort of transparency that organizations would be expecting leading up until this point. Also appreciated how many times the issue of HB 2017 and the investment that is going to be made by workers across the entire state of Oregon means for this agency. I do want to know how this agency, and with the new leadership, whomever they may be, Mr. Kelsey or not, how this board will demonstrate the return on investment for people in this region and for all workers across the state who will now be seeing a deduction from their paychecks to invest in systems here. Noting, of course, that those who depend on transit are paying for it 3 times. They'll be paying it through their federal taxes, they'll be paying it through their paychecks, and they'll be paying at the fare box. So truly, those who have the greatest investment in our systems are people who depend on it and who are the backbone of your ridership. Noting also that your ridership is declining at this time. Part of that is due to land use and housing, and we're not asking Trimet as an agency necessarily to solve these problems alone. What we're asking for is for collaboration, for leadership, for vision, and truly a new way of doing business at a time in which it's so critical for transit to be making that link to our communities. Also want to note that 3 of the positions on this board will be turning over this year and will be having vacancies. Thank you all for your dedicated volunteer service on this board. And so, this is truly, this year, 2018, is an opportunity with a new hire, with new leadership on the board. We're seeking, as the public, what is the direction of this agency? What is the vision? How are we living out the values that are written out on the Trimet website? This, again, isn't a personal judgment, a value judgment on Mr. Kelsey, on his merit. I've interacted with him briefly in his capacity as a CFO. Look forward to understanding more about him. Look forward to seeing if there will be an opening of the process again for hiring. But truly, the question is just called, how will we get there? How are we going to get there together? And what is the vision, again, that I've heard so much from the previous public comments? How will that be put into place this year? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Samir Sayed, and I am with the CIU Local 49. I'm here to read a statement regarding Resolution 180113, but also as a labor union and a community organization, we support the concern expressed yesterday by Opal and other community organizations, and I think you guys are getting a letter about that. But I'll read the statement from ACIU Local 49. Good morning. My name is Samir Sayed. I work for Service Employee International, ACIU Local 49. We represent more than 13,000 workers in Oregon, Southwest Washington, in healthcare, janitorial, security, and other industry. Our members include a majority of janitors in downtown Portland, major office buildings, as well as unarmed security officers employed by G4As who currently protect Trimet facilities. I am here to comment on the issue of Trimet's approach to making a decision that impacts Trimet riders and taxpayers across the metropolitan area. First, ACIU Local 49 agrees with the concern expressed by Opal Environmental Justice Oregon, elected officials, and other community leaders in the letter sent to you yesterday regarding the rush process to hiring a new general manager. In addition, we are concerned about Resolution 180113 to award a sole source no-bid contract to Portland Patrol Inc. for unarmed security service. This process is also rushed and insufficient transparent. We are not convinced that Trimet has provided a compelling justification for making this a sole source contract. Competition is essential for ensuring that Trimet maximize the value of public fund spent on private contracts. We believe this board should scrutinize this approach and not award a no-bid contract in this instance. When you approved in November an extension of the G4S contract for unarmed security officers, a memo from Mr. McFarlane noted that G4S has performed satisfactorily under the contract thus far and has been flexible, accommodating, and responsive to Trimet requests when they have occurred. Nevertheless, it is our understanding that Trimet did not allow G4S the opportunity to bid on the work described in today's resolution. In the memo accompanying today's resolution regarding the no-bid approach to the contract Portland Patrol, Trimet makes two claims that we call into questions. First, when described Portland Patrol's operation in downtown Portland, the memo neglects to mention that G4S unarmed security officers already protect Trimet facilities in this area. Secondly, the memo claims Portland Patrol Inc. is uniquely coordinated with the Portland Police Bureau. We question whether this is a full and accurate assessment. G4S also has an ongoing relationship with the Portland Police Bureau. Additionally, we do not see any impediment to any security firm maintaining a close coordinating with the Portland Police if Trimet were to consider the competing proposal. For this reason, we recommend you avoid making a rash decision on this resolution and take the time to ensure sufficient competition and transparency on this issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, directors.
Good morning.
I am David Bouchard, and I am with Bus Riders Unite. And I was actually here last week for the Committee on Accessible Transportation, which was a very enlightening meeting, but I'm not here to talk about that today. But I am here to talk about the process that the board has gone through with the GM hiring. I heard about it on the bus from the CAT meeting last week through Trimet email that Doug Kelsey was being hired, and really, quite frankly, I respect Doug. I've met Doug Kelsey. We've talked, and I do. I don't have personally problems, but I was very disappointed that he was the only candidate for this position, and this is such an important position, and just really disappointing that he was the only one. And also considering, you talked about this earlier, that you have you talked to various community groups about what you wanted in the general manager. You talked to the CAT committee, you talked to TIAC, and you have all of these committees, and all of them have the potential to provide you with invaluable information on the day-to-day experiences of us, of the riders. And yet you chose really not to, in our view, not to seek their advice on one of the largest and most important decisions for this agency. And you may say, oh, well, we did. We talked to them. We asked them what they had, what they wanted to see in the next general manager. But the fact of the matter is, you didn't give them there was no choice, to choose from. And I understand there's confidentiality concerns, but I feel like those really, could have been addressed, especially for a position of this magnitude. there's got to be more public involvement. In those committees really need to have that that opportunity, and you didn't take the opportunity to vet any of the candidates directly through the committees. I believe CTRAN up north did. They had more of an involved process in their when they chose their general manager. But instead of vetting them, you hit away for an entire day from like 8 in the morning till that almost until 5 in executive session to hash this out, and that doesn't look good. It doesn't. It's a disregard for the input of this community that has taken the time to meet with members of the board. And it really just puts that disregard on full display. It really does, and that's why the letter that you're seeing there, you've gotten from Opal. That's why we are demanding that you suspend this undemocratic hiring process immediately, and publicly vet your next round of applicants. And if Doug Kelsey wants to apply for that, that's great. But that he needs to be vetted with other people. Publicly, to as much as absolutely possible. This industry needs to take a lead in, the transit industry needs to improve on this particular point. You need to be leaders on how these people can be vetted without, and these people can be incentivized to come and participate.
David, you made your point. Can I ask you to kind of wrap up here now?
That's really it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, directors. My name is Adrian Cato. I myself am a transit-dependent person and the youth organizer with Opal Environmental Justice Oregon. I'm here today to pose the process that Trimet has used to select a finalist for general manager. I also want to prompt questions of what Trimet envisions for its future with the youth it serves. Youth are the future of your transit system, and failing to invest in them is failing to invest in Trimet's own sustainability. The recent decision to choose a general manager without proper input from community partners in the hiring process reflects the continued lack of effort Trimet makes to involve those that depend on its services. Trimet chooses to focus internally and lacks the essential meaningful involvement that is a core principle of environmental justice. Even your agency's website clearly states that transit equity is intimately tied to environmental justice. Youth are core members of the communities that you serve. If Trimet intends to address its decreasing ridership, it can begin by encouraging youth to ride transit. The Youth Pass program remains an important lifeline for youth to get to and from school, to work, and to opportunities across Portland. In our ideal city, youth would not have any concerns about getting to where they need to go. Removing barriers to opportunities can begin with having increased access to transportation. At Trimet, there's currently no plan for or sense of responsibility to the long-term sustainability of Youth Pass. Youth are knowledgeable and want to work with Trimet. How does Trimet intend to grow ridership? By investing in the input of youth, or by taking actions without their input or involvement? This new hire must align with the visions of youth for equitable transit in Portland. They continue to be affected by the decisions made within your agency and must have a role in making those decisions. I'm here today because many of the youth that we work with can't be. Please create more opportunities for our youth to be engaged.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I ask Orlando Lopez and
Yeah. Good morning.
Morning, Keith.
Yeah, I'm Keith Schultz, a member of Bus Riders Unite. And as usual, I am here before you today in my customary raincoat. For those of you who don't know, I took to wearing this raincoat about 7 years ago when I started testifying to the board on issues important to me and to the riders in general, because this raincoat symbolizes the transparency that I hope to see from this board. When I heard that Trimet was considering only one finalist for the general manager's position, I was not only disappointed, but deeply frustrated by your clear lack of transparency. After 7 years of repeatedly coming before you to testify on the benefits of greater transparency and community involvement, It is disheartening to see a hiring process unfold that looks to us like an inside job. Trimet claims that they want community involvement in hiring the next general manager. But those claims are difficult to believe when we are now suddenly faced with a single candidate. There are many of us in the community who would like to help you make the best choice for riders. We may not be lawyers or engineers or business owners, but we are your riders, and we know a thing or two about mass transit and what makes transit systems work for everyone. Secretly selecting your general manager doesn't work for anyone, especially bus riders. Suspend the hiring process for the general manager and allow us to guide you in choosing Neil McFarland's replacement in a way that works for all of us.
Thank you, Keith.
I've all read the letter and the names of the signatures of those individuals who have signed it. There was some new signatures, including 350 PDX, National Safe Routes to School, Portland Bus Lane Project. These signatures are few in compared to the number of individuals who have expressed their frustration with the process in which a general manager will be hired. After learning about Neil McFarland's retirement announcement and then our meeting back in November with Trimet representatives, we were willing partners to help Trimet have an inclusive and engaging hiring process. In this meeting, we heard that there would be opportunities for community engagement, and we look forward to ensuring that transit riders' voices were heard. But discussing the characteristics about a new GM and only having a single comment period with one finalist was not the sort of community involvement that we had envisioned. Trimet should look at recent examples and processes in which local agencies have conducted their hires, such as the Portland Police Bureau, where members of the community were able to interview the final candidate. Dr. T. Allen Bessel, I believe, was part of this process. Better yet, our neighbor to the north, C-Tran, hired a new executive director last year and invited members of the community and also engaged their employees and their citizen advisory committee in their interviews. My hometown of Woodburn invited its residents to engage the candidates for the new police chief down there. I was also a part of that process. If you aren't far too along in this process, you should stop it. But if you are, then you should look at the chief operating officer's position as a second opportunity to create the meaningful engagement that our community has been waiting to see. Your riders have concerns about safety, affordability, and about your plan to spend millions of dollars on a new contract with Portland Police Inc. or Portland Patrol Inc. This decision does not reflect what we have been asking for in bringing back the rider advocate program. Contracting with a private security firm is not the same as hiring a new fare enforcement. Nor has this decision been brought before TIAC. We come to these board meetings because we want to be good community partners and be engaged in the decisions that impact our community. Making decisions without rider input, such as a general manager's hiring, opening a new transit police station, or approving the new contract with Portland Patrol Inc. is not acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you, Orlando.
Thank you, Orlando.